Let's get genuine. Not everyone can bear the weight you carry. Some people notice your presence, enthusiasm, and purpose. They feel intimidated rather than motivated. They don't comprehend how you keep rising and glowing, despite anything that comes your way. And that is precisely why they attempted to stop you. They planned, schemed, and utilized every weapon at their disposal to thwart your blessings. Why? Because your mere presence undermines their false sense of power. They wanted you exhausted, defeated, and questioning oneself. But guess what? You are still here, still climbing, still unstoppable. This is not simply a chat. It is a revelation. Today, we're calling out the truth. Those that attempt to extinguish your light are seeing it flash even brighter. All efforts to break you have already failed. And the greatest part? Karma never loses an address. So if you feel deep down that you were created for something higher, if you've ever felt as if your mere existence interrupted those who didn't deserve to be in your life, this message is for you. You didn't just survive. You are prospering. And now is the opportunity to move into your power like never before. Leave a comment. My energy is a godsend, and I let them know that their plans couldn't undo what had already been written. Let's get to it. From the moment you stepped into your destiny, an invisible power fought furiously to keep you inside bounds. It was created for those who watched from the shadows. Your ascension was never just an inconvenience. It was a direct threat to the carefully established order. This wasn't any random foe. This was a person of authority, influence, and resources. Someone who has perfected the art of control. Instead of utilizing their reach to lift, they focused on destroying one item. You exist not because of what you accomplished, but because of what you represented. They saw something in you. They could never have a force of resilience, an irrefutable presence, or a light that refused to fade even in the face of hardship. It disturbed them. The prospect of you climbing beyond their reach worried them. You didn't need to provoke them. Your existence alone was sufficient. Their objective is to have you stripped of everything. Your tranquility, your potential, and, most importantly, your belief in yourself. They did not spare any money in their attempts. They realized they couldn't break you alone. So they devised a complex network of deceit, enticing others to do their bidding. They transformed known faces become saboteurs, people you previously trusted, individuals who had walked with you. The walls slowly closed in, and possibilities that appeared definite slid through your fingertips. Doors that should have opened were abruptly bolted closed. Lies spread like wildfire, throwing doubt on your personality and motivations. When exterior assaults weren't enough, they attacked your mind, sowing seeds of doubt, weaving disorder into your reality, expecting you'd crack under the burden. Each motion was calculated, every barrier, intentional, not because of anything you did wrong, but because they were afraid of who you might become. They felt that if they could keep you doubting yourself and bogged down by problems, you'd never reach the full potential of who you were supposed to be. If you are experiencing an excess of divine love in your heart, now is the moment to share it. You may help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and donating $20 or more. This wonderful gift will affect not just your life, but the souls of countless others via this platform. Each of you has a special role in God's big plan, and your giving will be the result of our prayers. Act now. Share your riches to exalt His kingdom, since you were meant to do much more in God's loving hands. May God bless you. No matter how painstakingly someone prepares their plans, a power stronger than human ambition destroys every dishonest strategy before it ever takes shape. What they failed to realize was that no amount of cash, strategy, or manipulation could overcome the invisible protection that surrounded you while they weaved their web of deceit. An unseen force was already ripping it apart, thread by thread, for each hurdle in your way. An invisible hand was paving the road for every effort to limit you. A fresh channel of possibility emerged. Power and influence seemed to be their most powerful weapons, yet they were rendered ineffective in the face of something considerably bigger. However, no scheme of this size is ever carried out alone. Those who wanted to stop you did not act alone. They recruited the assistance of others, people who were anxious to do their part in impeding your advancement. Some arrived from places you previously thought were safe. Figures hid their wrath beneath fake grins. Friends who seemed to be supportive in order to hide their envy. Some were motivated by avarice and the attraction of financial gain, while others allowed their own inadequacies transform them into willing participants. Each of these conspirators performed their allotted duties with absolute accuracy. Some disseminate lies like a slow poison, attempting to damage your reputation before you ever had the opportunity to defend yourself. Others tugged threads in the background, meddling with chances that were destined for you, ensuring they slid away before you could grasp them. They misled, conned, and worked diligently to bring you down. The most disconcerting fact was that many of them had previously stood with you, recognized your dreams and hardships, and were certain that their activities would result in position, fortune, or favor, using that information as weapon against you. However, they never considered the consequences of their own decisions. The traps they created are now closing in on them. The perks they desired are disappearing like water. Through clenched fingers, the connections they loved are crumbling as the reality of their lies is revealed where they previously labored to derail your path. They are now lost in their own maze. What they have put upon you, setbacks, losses, and failures, has become their own reality. There are no shortcuts to avoiding the repercussions of treachery. One by one, they learn that the strength they believed they were obtaining was only an illusion. And while they battle against the very forces they unleashed, they have no option but to watch you rise undisturbed and unstoppable beyond their grasp. Even the most premeditated betrayals fail when faced with a power beyond human comprehension. No amount of scheming or subterfuge can overcome the invisible shield that has enveloped you from the beginning. While plans were being woven against you, something larger was already tearing them apart piece by piece. Every effort to change your trajectory resulted in an unexpected turn in your favor. Those who assume their riches and power may affect your destiny were delusional. Your course was already set in motion, beyond their reach. There were times when their strategy appeared to close around you like a clamping vice, when no escape looked within grasp. Yet, just when their control seemed unshakable, an unforeseen change happened. The exits they closed down led to new passageways that they could never manage. Every setback was converted into an opportunity for something much bigger. Assistance comes unexpectedly. Opportunities appeared when they were least anticipated. Clarity pierced through the cloud of confusion. Signs of invisible direction were always visible, like light penetrating the fog. Subtle patterns. A perfectly timed meeting, a whisper of intuition guiding you to the proper option. It wasn't a chance. It was an incomprehensible arrangement. The inner voice, the unexpected realizations, the moments that defied rationality were all part of a broader plan to keep you safe. No weapon made against you will flourish. Isaiah 54:17. There's a reason they can't break you. There's a reason why every effort to stop, delay, or destroy you has just made you stronger, like a seed buried in soil. They believed they were covering you up, but in actuality, they were preparing you for development. They put dirt on your name, but they didn't comprehend you were meant to succeed. They dedicated their resources, effort, and influence to preventing you. However, they never had control over what was intended for you. To maintain control, every trap they built, falsehood they propagated, every door they slammed in your face became another tool God used to uplift you. They believed they were pulling you down, yet all they did was strengthen your roots. Now look at you, still standing, still favored, and going ahead with irresistible might. That is proof of heavenly protection. The assaults did not cease, but none of them were successful. Those who worked against you had no idea how powerful you were. They depended on manipulation, deceit, and control. They believed that human influence might outweigh divine intent. But what they failed to grasp is that no man can close a door that God has opened. No amount of riches, connections, or plans can undo what is already written in heaven. They built their foundation on ego and control, believing they could direct your life. However, their own dishonesty led to their demise. The same energy they used to attack you has now turned against them. The havoc they created has now caught up with them. The storms that drove you away have returned to their own lives. Meanwhile, you are entering a new chapter of prosperity, clarity, and divine favor. Not out of vengeance or retaliation, but because God has been preparing you for something better all along. You see, gold can only be cleaned through fear. Diamonds develop under pressure. What's your story? It's not just about surviving. It is about change. Each test became a testimonial. Every setback, a stepping stone. Your perseverance was not an accident. Your promotion was not coincidental. It was an alignment. It was fate. This was heavenly protection. At work, now, while others struggle with the consequences of their own deeds, you fly, unspoiled, unshaken, and unstoppable. They watch from the sidelines, compelled to accept the reality. They never regarded what was intended for you. It was never theirs to take away. Declare what this term means to you. I was made for this. Leave it in the comments. Let them know you are still standing. Let them see the evidence. Divine favor cannot be stolen. Your narrative is not finished. It's just getting started. Obsession has a way of becoming itself. The dogged pursuit of someone else's downfall often results in one's own demise. Ultimately, no amount of riches or power can protect a person from the repercussions of their own choices. What was once a well-planned strategy to derail someone else's progress has now devolved into uncontrollable anarchy. The exact web of deceit intended to ensnare another has become an unbreakable trap for its maker. At first, the unraveling was imperceptible, a gradual loss of control. Doubt seeped into the thoughts of individuals who had previously been faithful and unflinching supporters. As the situation began to deteriorate, it became clear that despite all attempts to impede and block, nothing was working. The misleading narratives, the strategically constructed hurdles, and the efforts to control events, none of it held. Instead, resilience shined through each onslaught, making the absurdity of the situation difficult to ignore. Those who formerly stood by the mastermind of these operations started to see cracks emerging, and one by one, their loyalties shifted. What was once a terrifying influence now exuded the stink of despair. The image of authority and grandeur, which had formerly been assiduously maintained, was now crumbling under the weight of revealed falsehood. The basis they had built on, status manipulation and financial leverage, was no longer stable. Resources were depleted in a never-ending chase of control. However, nothing could be done to recoup the losses. The instruments used to meddle, arrange setbacks, and create illusions were causes of frustration and devastation. Money, once a weapon of power, has slid away, exhausted by the never-ending efforts to maintain a disintegrating facade and the ultimate betrayal. It came from inside. Those who had previously helped and abetted were enticed by promises of riches, began abandoning the sinking ship. Some turned openly to expose the falsehoods, while others just faded away, refusing to associate their destiny with a man who had lost his grasp on power. There is some irony in falling. It often mimics the harm meant for others. Every deliberate effort to dampen another's light simply increased their might. Every action intended to hush them merely increased their presence. And in the end, while energy was expended conspiring against someone unaffected by the storm, the builder of chaos found himself standing in the debris of his own construction. The empire founded on deception has shattered. A carefully crafted image has crumbled, and the power formerly wielded so easily is now a distant memory. What remains is an irrefutable fact. Nothing done in the dark stays concealed forever, and no amount of effort can change a fate that was never theirs to control. Overcoming hardship is never just about endurance. It is about change. Every impediment along the road became a chance to adapt, strengthen instincts, and ascend with a renewed sense of purpose. What was intended to be a barrier became a launchpad. The betrayals, efforts to close doors, and murmurs intended to degrade each one served as fuel for elevation rather than annihilation. The voyage was not without its challenges. There were moments when the weight of opposition seemed intolerable, when people previously trusted betrayed them in ways that words cannot express. Despite these challenges, resilience remained unwavering. What seemed to be setbacks were really diversions that were leading to something bigger. Instead of crumbling under duress, adversity was exploited as a testing ground, a place where strength was formed. The attempts to stymie advancement simply prompted a deeper dig into unknown potential, discovering previously unseen, buried, and unimaginable avenues and possibilities. Those who planned hurdles erred. They anticipated that resistance would lead to submission. Instead, it developed endurance. The obstacles they posed became stepping stones rather than roadblocks. While energy was expended scheming destruction, the emphasis remained on reconstruction, on refining, on moving into sync with a destiny unaffected by their intervention. True transformation was not only external, it was internal. It was the power to find quiet amid turmoil, to heal invisible wounds, and to go on with certainty. Despite the commotion, this development became the very thing that ensured no effort at sabotage could succeed. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Someone 1822, they believed they could bury you. They believed that if they tossed enough mud, closed enough doors, and spoke enough falsehoods, you would slip into obscurity. But what they didn't realize was that God does not waste wars. Every assault and every setback, every betrayal was only another layer of strength being added to your foundation. The evidence for supernatural protection and endurance is obvious. What was supposed to be your breaking point became your breakthrough. They attempted to destabilize you, but you discovered that your foundations were stronger than ever before. They attempted to remove your tranquility, but it returned in plenty. Every shut door was replaced with a more promising possibility. Every betrayal increased your judgment. Every assault just served to confirm your goal. Here's the ultimate irony. They believed they were stopping you, but every action they took simply expedited your ascension. They slandered your name. However, they just emphasized the impact of your tale. They obstructed chances that only led you to doors. They never had the keys in the first place. They spent their time, energy, and money attempting to derail your destiny. And yet, you are still standing, prospering, and serving a purpose that was never theirs. They had prepared your ruin. However, the trap they created for you proved to be their undoing. Gold undergoes a fire test. Diamonds are formed under strain, and your strength was created amid hardship. The challenges you faced were not in vain. They were preparing. They were in training. They were developing you into someone unbreakable, someone who would not fold under pressure, someone whose faith remained unwavering. And now those who fought against you are forced to sit on the sidelines and watch your triumph unfold. They've come to the terrible understanding that they never had control in the first place, and that their efforts to manipulate, obstruct, and destroy were a waste of energy. What they intended was to do damage. God utilized for good. Your achievement is not just personal. It demonstrates to everyone watching that no strategy, falsehood, or weapon made against you can ever succeed. Your tale exemplifies divine justice, a live reminder that what is intended for you will always come to you, and no power on earth can take away what God has decreed. Keep soaring. Continue walking in favor. The best is yet to come. Standing in accordance with one's purpose is sometimes met with opposition. Opposition disguised as jealousy, dishonesty, or sabotage is a result of speaking the truth. However, if there is one unmistakable takeaway from this voyage, it is that no external power can undo what is divinely decreed. Every effort to hinder development has merely strengthened the truth. The most effective shields are resilience, faith, and awareness. One of the most important teachings is the value of intuition. Long before treachery was exposed, there were subtle warning signs, an unwavering intuition that something was wrong, moments of hesitation that turned out to be warranted. That was not at random. It was advice, recommending caution before deceit became completely apparent. Moving ahead, that instinct remains the most important protection. Energy must be conserved and discernment enhanced, even if the truth is tough to accept. Another irrefutable fact is the burning nature of resentment. Those who grew engaged in deceit lost themselves in the process, so preoccupied with destroying another's achievement that they neglected to foster their own. Their collapse serves as a warning that bitterness is a poison that kills from inside before reaching its intended victim. When negativity is the basis of one's behavior, collapse is inevitable. Whatever is thrown out into the world eventually returns to its source. However, those who place their trust in the Lord will find renewed strength. They will rise up with wings like eagles. They will sprint without becoming exhausted, and they will stroll without fainting. Isaiah 4031. An eagle does not spend energy battling every bird that comes into its path. It does not hunt crows. It does not dispute with the wind. It merely climbs higher. It rises to heights where nothing can reach it, where the air is too thin to allow distractions to pass. That is what you did. That is why you are still standing. They wanted you fatigued. They wanted you entangled in their traps, stuck in their plans. Their comments have weighed me down. But instead of grappling with what was underneath you, you rose. You let patience do the job. You let divine time take its course. Now look where you are. Still standing, still prospering, and still growing in strength. Endurance became your greatest weapon. The conflicts you waged were not fought with rage or retribution. You did not spend your breath defending yourself against falsehoods. You choose elevation over engagement. You chose progress above vengeance. As a result, everything that was intended to kill you simply served to strengthen you. They expected you to crumble under strain, yet all it did was purify you. They expected the delays to make you question, but they merely increased your faith. Every obstacle they constructed became a prelude to something larger. And now your mere existence demonstrates that persistence is more powerful than any scheme devised in darkness. They played a momentary game, but you were designed for the long haul. They moved with desperation, but you went with heavenly guidance. And this is why they failed. And you are still here, rising, building, glowing, impenetrable. What was supposed to slow you down became your driving force. This voyage has revealed a single incontrovertible reality. When you hold steadfast in your mission, faith serves as a solid foundation that cannot be disturbed. Every hurdle serves as a stepping stone. Every denial results in a reroute. No detour was wasted. No wait was in vain. Everything was falling into place behind the scenes, preparing you for the exact benefits they believed they could stop. And now, as the route unfolds, the lessons become evident. Patience is a weapon. The waiting was not punishment. It was a preparation. Trust is essential. When everything looked to be static, the breakthrough was already in motion. Resilience is evidence. They believed they were stopping you, but all they did was demonstrate that nothing can take what is intended for you. What will happen next? You confidently step into all that was already yours. You enter a season of clarity, confidence, and uncontrollable fever, because it was never just about survival. It was about change. Declare your season of elevation. I'm rising higher. Let them realize that no storm, opponent, or delay could halt what was already in motion. Your greatest days are yet ahead. Nothing can stop you back. This is not just a reflection. This is a declaration. Energy is valuable, and anything that attempts to deplete it must be eradicated. No matter how deep the roots are, justice will be served when it is due. The invisible powers that have guided this voyage continue to operate. Ensure that people who act with good intentions always succeed. The path is incontrovertible confirmation that what is intended will always appear, regardless of resistance. The purpose cannot be taken. External factors cannot rewrite fate. The roadway has been tested. The difficulties have been unrelenting. However, no one has succeeded in quenching the inner fire, which continues to burn with unyielding power. Attempts to resist the cleverly prepared traps and whispered deceptions had no effect on what was divinely guarded. The light that emanates from inside has not only persisted, but has strengthened, making any attempt to deny it worthless. Now is the moment to recognize the full extent of this power. Every task, conflict, and barrier overcome demonstrates resilience. This is a summons to stand steadfast, unflinching in the belief that no influence, plot, or manipulation can ever take away what was always intended to be. Let the triumphs be known. Let the tales of endurance be spoken, and the unmistakable truth be revealed. The purpose is unchanged, and destiny is unfolding just as it was intended. Greatness is not defined by circumstances, but by unshakable determination. No amount of manipulation, avarice, or malicious purpose has ever been able to undo what has been woven into the fabric of one's journey. Every delay was not a setback, but rather a refinement and preparation for what was to come. The opposition encountered was never indicative of failure. It was affirmation of a path too strong to be shaken. Those who attempted to meddle have already seen the futility of their efforts. Their efforts became stronger rather than weaker. Their diversions did not derail, but rather reinforced. As the weight of resistance fades into insignificance, the only thing left to do is march forth fearlessly, unashamedly, and without reservation. The future is free of shadows from the past. Only light that is growing illuminates the way ahead. Let it be known, nothing has been lost. Everything has been positioned. And what is happening today is not just triumph. It represents the completion of a trip that was never in anybody else's hands. The control,